Hello, everybody, and welcome to another day live at the Waterhole. What a spectacular scene we are looking at. But first, my name is Taylor McCurdy, and I will be your host, or the voice that you'll be hearing for the next couple of hours. And we'll be talking about all sorts of weird and wonderful things, hopefully animal conservation related. But this is a live and interactive safari, so I'm happy to chat about anything. And if you are watching on YouTube, you're welcome to comment away on the live chat, or you can head over to the WildEarth website and comment there. Or even better, if you've downloaded the app, that's probably the easiest way to chat to me. But this is a spectacular scene, as I said. My goodness, it doesn't even feel like we were in South Africa, although we were quite far north in South Africa, because we're in Madikwe Game Reserve, which is just south of the border of Botswana. And look at the diversity of wildlife that is in front of us. But before we get straight into it, I'm going to wait for a couple of you to say, hey, hello, howdy do, to make sure that it's not just me. My goodness. But elephants, we've got a rather large herd of wildebeest, zebra, a giraffe in the mix, and I think if we look carefully enough, we'll probably see a warthog or two. As they were down here just a moment ago. There's even a couple of impala dashing through the variety of animals. Imagine sitting on the deck of Jamala right now. There's a swimming pool just behind where the camera is. And enjoying the scene. I mean, I suppose this is the second best thing you can do if you aren't able to be there in person. Most people, unfortunately, will never go on safari in their lives for various reasons. And that's why this Waterhole show and sunrise and sunset safaris are so spectacular. You can watch a live safari from the comfort of your own home. I can't even begin to tell you how many elephants are here. But anyways, with all these animals around, it must be hot. So let's go check out what the weather is. As you can see, it is swelteringly hot across the country. The only place that looks like it's a bit cooler is in Kenya, in Oldonyo, which hopefully we'll be able to watch a camera a little bit later. But like I said, we're in South Africa, and pretty much across the eastern and the northern parts of the country, the temperatures are well over 35 degrees Celsius, and in fact, heading over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. In Hoedspruit, it's about 39 degrees Celsius currently, with a real feel of about 56 degrees. But honestly, I really think the scene that we have in front of us just speaks volumes. Now, animals come down to drink water every single day, that we know. Some animals, for example, like the zebra, need to drink every single day. So do the wildebeest. And they don't travel too far away from water. But the fact that there's so many animals all around the water at once just shows you how desperate they all are to quench their thirst. And the country where Madikwe is quite arid, and it gets exceptionally warm. In fact, I'm not surprised that it's not well over 40 degrees Celsius at Madikwe. That's typically what the temperatures are at this time of the year, heading all the way into February. But elephants, wildebeest, like I said, the zebra, the giraffe, not happy with all the commotion, was moved off. Perhaps it'll come back a bit later. All fighting for an area to drink from. And yesterday, if you were watching live at the Waterhole, we were having quite a few discussions about whether animals will compete for water. And today they definitely are. But it's not necessarily the water they are competing for; it's the space around the waterhole that is going to become, quite. There's a couple of elephants trumpeting and roaring away. I see there are a couple of you that have jumped on the YouTube chat. Justin, Billy, Skylight Zones, CM, Wally, Sanjeev. Hello, hello, hello. It's so nice to hear from all of you. Looks like Fiona, you've also jumped on board. You said, good morning, Taylor. It's boiling hot in Durban as well. Bonnie Girl, you said, greetings from the UK. No better way to start the day. Welcome, welcome. It's great to have you all with us this morning, or it might be the evening for all of you. So thank you for saying hello. And I'm looking forward to the chats that we're going to be having a little bit later. I did have a good chuckle though, because Sanjeeva's just said a Waterhole police officer is in full swing this morning, driving away the wildebeest. Those were good choice words. Unfortunately, the elephants are going to be the biggest and the most boisterous animals around the water's edge. But if you look carefully, you'll see that the zebra and wildebeest are now gathering around a particular section of the waterhole, away from the elephants, away from anything else that might want to chase them away. Looks like there's a couple of zebra foals in and amongst the adults, but not super young. I don't see any tiny babies. So they're definitely closer to a year old. Hopefully we'll start to see some more babies soon. No little wildebeest just yet either. My goodness, look at that. There's just more and more wildlife everywhere you look. Gareth said, you said this waterhole has been spectacular to watch recently. It absolutely has. I actually love both cameras at Madikwe. Tau is also really great, especially for a bit of birding and some nice crocodile sightings. But Jamala specifically has become a firm favorite of mine. And in fact, it might even be surpassing the old Donyo, the waterhole camera in Kenya. Now, I mean, I'm obsessed with that one because of the low angle, the proximity to the water's edge, and the fact that we just got to see big tuskers all the time. But the last few times we've had a look at it, it's been fairly quiet. But that's because the temperatures have just dropped a little bit, and there's just so much food and water available at the moment, so there's no need to necessarily, come and linger around there. But Jamala, however, it's just in the most perfect position. Python, you said good morning from the UK. That's a busy waterhole. Absolutely. You know me, I'm always honest and I like to overshare because I just, I've got no filter and I just speak my mind all the time. But sometimes I get a bit nervous. I've done a couple of these waterhole shows where there's just been nothing around and I'm like, my goodness, what are we going to look at? Like, even the birds are hiding away. And one time I even saw a tree uproot itself and actually move off to try and get out of the cameras. I'm just joking. That's complete nonsense. But I'm sure you get what I mean. And it's always nice to start the day like this. Yesterday morning was exactly the same. Not quite to this degree, though. Oh, you might even be able to have an African fish eagle, but it's not on the catchy from my garden. I wonder where it's sitting. It might be close to the dam near Pryden. It's called Ndlovu Dam. So if you do occasionally hear a fish eagle, it's calling from Hoedspruit. It's always so funny to hear them because there's no big water holes and they're definitely not trying to catch fish from my pool. I keep sparkling clean. Oh, there we go. So it's also just great to see, look how the zebra and wildebeest are coming right into the water. When we are over in Namibia at the Okakuyo camera, which is also a firm favorite with everyone, we see the animals going in and submerging themselves all the time. The springbuck, the impala, everybody goes in, even the kudu, to drink and cool themselves off. But it's not a behavior that we normally see in South Africa. So it's really nice today to actually see how the wildebeest are also not afraid to go right into the water. It's not something that I've really seen in South Africa. Going into East Africa is a different story. Animals have to cross the big river systems, but this is for an entirely different reason here. They're not trying to get from point A to point B. They're just trying to get some water and to keep nice and cool. Maybe I'll see a wildebeest mud wallowing for the first time ever. That's also not something that you typically see them doing. They do roll around in the dust and the sand, and if there's a bit of mud, of course, they'll get it all over their bodies, but they don't wallow to necessarily keep themselves cool like a lot of the other thick-skinned animals will do.
This immersive program will give you an in-depth understanding of the African bush in as little as 7 days. You'll be guided by expert trainers who will lead you through the various ecosystems of Africa and teach you essential bush skills. Join Eco Training's 7 or 14-day EcoQuest course and you will receive 500 Rand off whether you sign up locally or internationally using this promo code. Further your journey as a true bush enthusiast today.
It looks like a lot of the plains game are now starting to move off. At one point, there's an elephant that completely submerged itself. I couldn't even see that it was still there. And look, there's even, I mean, the Egyptian geese are struggling off to the left. They don't know where to go. And then there's an African spoonbill. Maybe we can have a closer look on the right-hand side, which is super interesting to see at Jamala. This is the first time that I've seen it. And while we just eventually head into that direction, question from Claire Bear. You've said, what do you do to cool down when it's so hot? Claire, I'm assuming you're talking about me. What do I do? Well, before we started the show, I actually just swimming pool, to be honest. And now I'm wrapped in a drenched kukoi, which is like a sarong, if you will, but made from pure cotton. So it's lovely light. And I am definitely going to be jumping in the pool every now and then too. So if I go quiet, it's because I'm swimming. No, I'm just I'm just joking. Anyways, like I said, this is called an African spoonbill, and they are no stranger to Badikwe. We actually see them quite often at the Tau camera, which is more suited for aquatic birds. And I think what's happened here is all the animals that are moving around, they've obviously stirred the water up, and perhaps it's like, oh, a field day. One's going to find any little crustacean, any little frogs that are just also evade all the feet of the animals. It got hot and it needed at the pan, but unusual, because normally when you see so many animals around a waterhole, and this one's not particularly big and deep, so there's no points of this waterhole that are off, not off, out of bounds, might be too deep. So I have to fear if the commotion gets kind of too much, but it seems to be finding a lot of things to eat. It's swaying its head from side with its bill slightly ajar. And that's because in this long bill, and it's normally what you have with birds that have got these long bills like this, is a sensory nerve. So it opens its beak like that, moves it around, and as soon as it feels something on whatever the prey might be, but it's difficult to understand what it's getting. There might be some kind of larvae. It could be like, I don't know, any kind of invertebrate really that lives around in the murky water. Lara, you've actually asked, does its weirdly shaped beak ever get in the way of anything? Huh. I don't know. I wonder. I mean, obviously it's still capable of preening its feathers pretty well. I think for a spoonbill, probably not. Maybe it needs to make a quick getaway. It's got quite a big wingspan. Maybe that beak will, I don't know, get stuck on something. I don't think so, though. Not for this bird. And because it's had the same bill its entire life, it learns how to cope, with something so long and protruding off the front of its face. So it'll be able. Oh, it's just defecated now. Are you going to fly away? Or are you going to stay around? And then, Joel, you've asked, can animals pass out from the heat? They absolutely can. Become severely dehydrated. So a lot of animals cannot sweat in the traditional sense that we can sweat. So there's different ways that they can try and keep themselves. So what we've been watching is animals coming down to drink, having a nice drink of water is going to quench your thirst and ultimately help cool your body down too. And then, of course, when animals go into the water itself, the water is going to cool them down too, and then they'll also be able to cool down via evaporation. You know what it feels like when you splash yourself or spritz yourself with a bit of water, and then you go and stand in front of a fan. How nice it is to have that cool air blowing over your wet skin. It'll be the same thing, similar for animals, so that will help them cool down. But birds, for an example, if they aren't fans of spending time in water, they'll look for shade. And then they'll also do the thing where they open their beaks, and it's what we call the gular flutter. You see crocodiles doing it too to help regulate temperature. And and you'll see their throats sort of not beating, but moving quite vigorously. And that's just going to help keep them cool. We'll probably see that behavior at some point today. I have no doubt. So hopefully I'll be able to show that to you. Oh, there we go. Tina, you've actually said also when you wet your hair, that cools you down for sure. Absolutely. I mean, anything. A lot of people will take, a buff, and that's one of my favorite things to do, especially when out on safari, is you drench it. Sometimes I even drench it and then put it back in the freezer, and then put it around my neck, and just keeping the base of your neck nice and cool is really good, because again you start cooling down the blood supply, and as that starts filtering through your body, that's a great way to cool yourself down. Elephants do this really well. They do it by flapping their ears, and it's nice. It's such a different view because we can see the reflection of the elephants. So watch them every now and then. You'll see them open and close their ears, and at some point we'll have a look. They've got beautiful big veins that are quite exposed on that skin being so thick. By increasing airflow, you start to cool that bloodstream down directly, and like I just said, it filters through your entire body, and especially goes to your brain, which we don't need overheating. I think my brain is permanently overheated. And Belinda, you've actually just mentioned the elephant's reflection in the water looks so cool. It is. It's such a different view of wildlife today. Oh, I hope it kind of keeps coming. But look at how much mud has just been disturbed and churned up around here. There's a lot of slipping that's happened by the looks of it, with the big round feet. Elephants have been slipping and sliding around here. My goodness, look at all of them. I saw there's actually an interesting question that's just come through from Leopard Lover, asking, when birds lie in the sand when it's hot with their wings out, are they sun or sand bathing? So, Leopard Lover, I suppose it kind of depends, right? So if they're standing or lying down really still with their wings open, and they're kind of in a sandy area, then they're sunbathing. Some of them might lie down and do it. Others might stand up and actually open their wings and face the sun directly, or have their backs turned to the sun. You'll see that quite often they'll raise the feathers on their back. Or what they could also be doing is something called anting, especially if they're lying down and have got their wings open, belly on the ground, head lowered to the ground too. That's an interesting behavior, but I'll go into that a little bit more if we find some birds. But if the birds are ruffling their feathers and moving through the sand quite quickly, then that's what we call sand bathing. So there are two different things. But maybe we'll see some of that behavior today, and I can go into it a bit deeper.
What if you could explore the world from an entirely new perspective? Flying a real drone live without leaving home. This is Nature Eye. Discover our planet's landscapes with a personal guide and a powerful camera. Every flight helps conserve the locations you visit. Book your adventure with Nature Eye.
I'm shocked that we haven't seen more engagement from the elephants around this waterhole. Everybody seems to be quite content and tolerant of one another. Normally, when we get various groups of elephants coming through to have a drink, especially at a smaller waterhole like this, there's a lot more vocalizations and pushing and shoving. But perhaps it's just so hot that no one could be bothered to even waste energy on doing that, and they put all their differences aside for the day. A couple of you are chuckling at me saying that I have good perks when it comes to working at home. It is really nice. I do love that I can still do safari themed work from the comfort of my own home, from the comfort of my own swimming pool. No, I mean, one can only dream, right? I need to try and figure out how to not get my computer and cell phone to overheating, because I use those obviously during these shows in various ways. They won't survive. I've been actually having a chuckle in Hoedspruit. You cannot leave anything in your car at this time of the year. Bank cards will melt. Someone posted a photo the other day of a very sad white long-stemmed candle that had flopped over to the side because it was so hot. Baking trays, all sorts of things that have just become completely warped because of how hot it actually gets. And that always just reminds me, I haven't actually said this for a very, very long time, but I think it's something that people need to be reminded of. Do not leave your children and your animals in the car on hot days like this. Otherwise, you'll probably get your window broken. Look at those elephants on the left-hand side, the three that are in the water. It's really not deep there, not even the slightest. But they're all so desperate to try and cover themselves. And this water is not going to be cool and refreshing either, because it's not so deep and it's been baking in the sun. There's no trees to conceal, not conceal, but shade some of the areas of the waterhole. It's going to be hot, hot, hot. And with the mud being a much darker color, we know that dark colors absorb heat better. Well, the elephant just chased away two blacksmith lapwing. Yes, give them a taste of their own medicine, but don't squash the babies. There were blacksmith lapwing chicks. Well, there was one chick the other day. Leave it alone. They're just flying to the other side. Hopefully, if that little one is still around, maybe just taking cover. But life at the edge of a waterhole is not always easy, especially when you're a little old bird. Loka, you've asked, are you able to tell us which birds we can hear? Yeah, let's have a listen. If the elephants could please keep quiet. Something going zzz, which I'm not entirely sure. That was an elephant. There's actually not many birds that we can hear right now, except that one making that monotonous sound, but I'm not sure what that is. Oh my goodness, look at this commotion. So unnecessary. So two bulls having a go at one another. The individual on the left obviously not happy with the one on the right and using his brute force and size to shove him out of the way. But unfortunately, all the little elephants that were so happily and peacefully drinking all had to move out the way very quickly. And none of the cows are standing up to him. Perhaps, again, like I said, it's too hot. It's not worth it. Lyra, you've actually said no conflict Wednesday. Well, I think it's out of the window now because that elephant on the left broke it. And look at him checking out the bull on the right now, the younger one. He's just approaching really slowly. Wants to have a drink from the pipe. That's where all the elephants are drinking from now. And for now, he doesn't seem to be too bothered with the younger bull. But when there are bulls around a waterhole and there are lots of breeding herds in between them, they do tend to show off a little bit more. And when I say show off, it means pushing and shoving other bulls out of the way so that I suppose they can be noticed. Strongest individuals that are around. But don't worry, the elephant cows can't be fooled. And they only want the cream of the crop. Gosh, I'm so thankful that there's so many of you here today joining us. Isn't that hard to believe that sound is coming from an elephant? A little dust devil coming. Whew. You see the elephants in the middle, especially the little one, got such a fright. Didn't quite realize what it was. Off it goes again. Are you going to go through the herd of zebra? They probably won't like that. They all panicked for a second, all those little elephants, as if to say, what on earth was that? Here comes another big elephant bull making his way down a pathway. Let's see if he'll come in and cause some trouble. Everyone's a comedian today, and I'm loving it. Richard, you said maybe I should supply some balls and a volleyball court and some other playthings to keep them all busy. Wouldn't that be amazing? Obviously, we would never put any toys, right, in a wild environment for animals to play with. It's just a recipe for disaster. But can you imagine one of those really large inflatable beach balls, like super-sized one? I think that the elephants would have the time of their lives if they could push it around, although I think they'd probably try and jump on it and then pop it. But that would be, I think, a hoot amongst all of the animals. Justin, here's a great, this is actually great. Justin has said there's 2 hats. They're hanging on a rack. One hat says to the other, I'll wait here. You go on ahead. Ha, 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 ha. That's great. I really enjoyed that. Thank you. If anyone else has got any jokes to share, please do. I thoroughly enjoy a chuckle. So thank you so much, Justin, for that. I'm still curious about this African spoonbill and just how it's not moving. It's sticking around. This is where it will be staying for most of the day. And see what the zebra are going to do. They're going to come closer to where that spoonbill is feeding. Maybe we can have a closer look. Perfect timing. And then you can also probably see the Egyptian geese all at the same time. There we go. Now, if I were a fish, if I were a frog, or I suppose any kind of invertebrate, I would like to linger around this log, especially in such an open ecosystem where there's not really much cover. Of course, there's some frog species that do very well in open, murky water. For any common, well, not a common, just the Platana family of frogs in general. They are laterally compressed. Their eyes are situated on the top of their head, and they spend most of their time down at the bottom, hidden in all the silt. But a lot of other frog species and aquatic invertebrate would prefer to be around that log. You can see the spoonbills just now getting out of the way, but not worrying too much about the zebra. Again, it's just going to be benefiting. As all these big mammals move around, they're going to be stirring little creatures up from the bottom, and they'll be trying to get away from all the hooves. Wow. Did you see that jump? That was spectacular. This goes to show you how athletic zebras actually are. You see them plodding along. You don't really think that they could get up too much. But in fact, from us, we can leap into the air.
Eco Training's professional field guide course can make your dreams a reality. This comprehensive program comprises 5 months of theoretical and practical training in the African bush with highly qualified instructors in multiple locations. Enroll today and receive 5,000 Rand off using the promo code. If you've just finished school or tertiary education and you want to head into the wild, Eco Training's professional field guide course is for you.
I don't think we're going to go to any of the other cameras today. This is where we're going to stay. There's just so much going on. It kind of just never ends. But look at that cow and the tiny little calf just standing there on their own, minding their own business, I suppose, just trying to keep out of the way. I did see a cow and calf kind of veer off from the waterhole and head up into the tree line and then come back down again. I wonder if it's the same individual, although there's so many elephants at Madikwe. It could quite possibly be a different individual. Yesterday, we were having an interesting conversation about how long does it take for a young elephant to use its trunk, and specifically, we were actually talking about elephants, young elephants, and their ability to drink water. So here's a great example. We weren't able to see it yesterday. If it comes back into the water, my goodness, that's a young elephant chasing other individuals or chasing other animals. Every time I want to talk. Maybe let's see. Let's maybe zoom out and see what the commotion is all about. There seems to be a bit of tension amongst all these bulls at the bottom, but I don't think it was them that was trumpeting. It could have been, I mean, there's just elephants all around here, and I wouldn't be surprised if they've made their way into the lodge, sitting at the bar ordering a strawberry daiquiri of some sort. Ah, goodness. So I'm not really sure what it was, but it didn't sound like bulls necessarily interacting with one another. It definitely sounded like an individual chasing around something else. But anyways, it could have also just happened away from the water, and that's why we couldn't see it. There's just elephants everywhere at the moment. Well, there we go. Another cow has joined at the back there. So there's two little elephants standing in between their moms, having a play around in the water. Maybe we can have another look at them, and then I can tell you about what we were talking about yesterday. There we go. And a third young elephant not able to resist, also going straight in. So it's always interesting watching young elephants and seeing how well developed the trunks are. This is the best audio on the cameras that I've ever heard. All those zebra getting riled up for some reason. Come on, little elephant, go in again and show us how you use your trunk. So there you go. You can see a little elephant is now just stirring the water with its trunk to try and suck something up and squirt it back into its mouth, but no success. And now it's been watching what the other elephants have been doing by kicking their feet forward and backwards, sideways, trying to stir up the mud, but it's not quite sure why it has to do all those things. That's also an effective way to splash water under your belly. Here we go. It tries so hard. Sticks its trunk in. You can see it sloping up something, and then as it brings it up, it all just runs straight out of its trunk. And I had such a chuckle yesterday. I saw a really funny video. It reminds me of like to the equivalent of what this elephant is doing. And the video was of this little boy, and you all know the container that tennis balls come in, you know, that long cylindrical like plastic container that they typically come in, and all the tennis balls had fallen out, and he was walking around the tennis balls back and putting them in. As he bent down to pick one up, the one that he just put in obviously falls out again. And he probably spent, the video was only a few minutes long, but I reckon mom and dad just sat there just watching and watching and watching. That would have exhausted the the little boy. And it makes me laugh because it's kind of like what that elephant is doing too, desperately trying to suck up water, but then as soon as it lifts its trunk out of the water, it all splashes out again. Casey Wolf, you asked, do predators ever visit this waterhole? Yes, they absolutely do. So at nighttime, you can see brown hyenas that come through. Not to say that a brown hyena or any of the predators won't come and visit during the day, but I can say for certain that the brown hyenas come here because there was a zebra carcass a couple of months ago, and that was devoured in the evening. But there are lions, there are leopards. What is that sound? Interesting. So there's all sorts of predators that could come down here and have a drink. Although, if I were a lion, I don't know if I'd want to, or a leopard, I'd want to come, or even a cheetah, come anywhere near this waterhole currently, with there being so much wildlife around here. Of course, the zebra and other prey species or herbivores will be quite tempting, but with the amount of elephants around here, good luck. If something were to come and try and hunt an animal, elephants are great protectors and will very often chase predators away, even if it's not one of their family members that they're trying to protect. There's so much footage of lions killing buffalo, then a herd of elephants storming in and chasing the lions away. So I think there's just a bit too much commotion at the moment. And Shanna, you've actually just asked, would this waterhole ever dry up? It could, it absolutely could, but it is pumped. So there is a water pipe, and that's where the elephants like to drink from all the time. So that fills it up. But we have seen it where either just the demand for water and the pump not being able to keep up with the amount of water that's being consumed, it got quite dry, or there might have been an issue with the water pipe or the pump itself, and then it stopped pumping up. But it's also going to get filled with rainwater at this time of the year. So it's a combination of both at the moment. You can see another big bull coming through. Not slowing down, barging straight between the cows. Oh, they'll always do this. They can't help themselves. They want to come and say hello or introduce themselves to the female, see if there are any in estrus. Elephant bulls don't need to be in close proximity, though, to find out if an elephant cow is in estrus. Because, can you believe it, but the cows actually sing an estrus song. So when they are in estrus, they'll also be more inclined to look for a mate. And so they'll let other individuals know, and that song can travel for many kilometers. But of course, as they are defecating and urinating, sometimes it's, well, a lot of the time it's done at the same time, that scent is going to be left on the ground and will remain there for quite some time. So if there are any passing bulls in the area, they then smell it and then probably try and track her down. But no one of interest out of these cows.
Attention all teachers. Round up your bundles of joy and get comfortable because WildEarth Kids Safaris are here to stay. Go to our website and sign your class up for a special virtual safari with interactive learning tailored for kids.
Good afternoon or good morning, boys and girls from all over the world.
Spoil your kids with some wild fun for 1 hour every weekday on our afternoon drives. WildEarth, it's in your nature.
Look at those tiny little clouds building up in the background. It starts off like this at this time of the year. The temperatures just keep building and building, and the humidity starts to rise. And then pretty much every afternoon, a big development of clouds starts to build up. The weather apps tell you it's not going to rain. There's no lightning and thunder forecasted. And then there's a storm. It's the same happened. It's happened to us 2 nights in a row, even just where I live, where around about 5:30, 6 o'clock, it starts to get quite dark and gloomy, not because the sun has set just yet, but this band of cloud comes through, and then they drop really low, and then there's huge lightning and thunder roaring across the skies. So these clouds could eventually start and develop into big cumulonimbus clouds, which are the rainstorm clouds. You can see how they're expanding upwards. So they typically climb vertically, but it also looks like there's just a couple of normal cumulus clouds there, but eventually they all merge and form something quite spectacular. Oh, look at the elephant chasing the zebra away. I reckon that little elephant at the back probably thought it did all the hard work. Well, lots of the elephants have moved off now. The zebra are still lingering around, and I think they're quite finished with their drink. I hope the wildebeest come back, or even a couple of buffalo come to join us. Richard, this is such a great comment. You said you used to love thunder and lightning storms because of the sounds that come afterwards, the frogs and the birds. I completely agree with you. I also love that. Last night's storm wasn't as spectacular as they can get, but it was still really, really nice to hear. The eastern olive toads are going ballistic at the moment. It's pretty much all you can hear around the water sources of the Hoedspruit Wildlife Estate. Oh, look, there's more wildebeest finally coming down. I still can't believe I haven't seen a decent herd of buffalo while watching the cameras. I've seen a few Duggar boys here and there, so those are just the lone bulls. Isn't it amazing how the elephants just aren't intimidated by the stampeding of the zebra? I mean, they've basically, the wildebeest too, they've surrounded this white elephant bull on the left-hand corner of the screen. And the wildebeest seem quite nervous. They are scrambling over all the rocks, which can't be a pleasant place to drink from. You quite easily lose your footing, although on a day like today, I don't think that they'd mind slipping and falling into the mud, as long as they didn't hurt themselves.
Hickory dickory dock, the kids ran to the spot. The clock struck 4, the kids sat down, hickory dickory dock. Our kids safaris bring interactive entertainment and learning to the future protectors of our world for 1 hour every weekday during our safari drives. Watch it live on your nearest device. Don't miss out on the fun. WildEarth, it's in your nature.
Wow. Look at all these elephants coming in from the left. So many of them. Or are you going to patiently wait your turn to drink from the fresh water, or are you just going to barge on through? You can see the size difference, though, between some of the cows in the group and all these enormous bulls surrounding them. Male elephants really do just dwarf the females. Yeah, slightly unhappy youngster. I think this is the longest amount of time that I've spent sitting watching one camera. Isn't that awesome that we really don't have to go anywhere else today? That it is all just happening here. Shame, look at that tiny little elephant following that big bull. Sweet. That's not your mom. You're not going to find mammary glands near him. Oh no. See how he kicked it, the little one. Go back to your mom. I think it got a bit lost for a second and now it doesn't quite know where mom is. Oh, shame. You can see that little elephant is going up to another bull. I think it's just confused as to what it is supposed to be doing. Looks like there's... Oh, quickly, get out the way. No, stop going close to the bulls. Because if the bulls are going to be fighting, they really don't watch where they put their feet. And that's when a young calf can end up getting trampled. Then if you want to see an unhappy breeding herd of elephants, oof, good luck. Alana, I love this comment. You said, I mean, the elephants are doing all the work, so you can go and swim. Woohoo! Cheers, everybody. See you next time. Thanks, Alana. Elephants will just be handling it from here. You're not wrong. I'm teasing. I'm not actually allowed to go anywhere. So sadly, you're stuck with me. So it'll be myself, the elephants, and the zebra. And if all of you that are watching, that was actually such an interesting interaction because that calf was teeny tiny. I know everything looks a lot smaller when you're viewing animals from above. Well, this is an exceptional bull here on the left. Look at him. Look how huge his body is. His head looks like it still needs to do a bit of filling out, though. It doesn't quite match the size of his body just yet. But if you compare him to the bull just on the right-hand side that took a couple of steps away, there's a huge difference. Okay, well, at least that little calf has found its mom again. So that's good. Oh, here's an interesting question that I'm probably going to have to do a bit more research about. So, Starbuck, you said, why do zebra vocalizations sound so different from other equine animals? Well, if you think about it, the zebras obviously don't sound like horses, and horses and zebras don't sound like donkeys. So they've all got slightly different vocalizations. It's the same thing in the Panthera genus, so other members of the or even just if you just make it even broader, of the Felidae family, they also have slightly different vocalizations. I imagine that has something to do with the vocal cords. Maybe the different lengths or spaces between them will change the sound. I mean, some of them might, yeah, I'm assuming that might have something to do with it, but I don't actually know the specifics to members of the Equidae family. For big cats, it's slightly different. So obviously, like for example, lions have resonating chambers, so that amplifies sound. Cheetah don't have a fused hyoid bone, so they can purr, but they can't make roaring noises. So there's there's a whole bunch of different things, but I'm actually not exactly sure. Shall I ask the interweb? Because that is a great question, Starbuck, and I'd like to know a bit more about that. But before I go check, elephant ball just chasing all the zebras away. Does that make you feel good? Do you feel bigger and stronger now that you've chased the zebra all around? And you can see they've even a bit riled up too.
Cheetahs are one of nature's prolific gems. Jump on safari as we celebrate International Cheetah Day. Alongside an interview with the woman who established International Cheetah Day, Dr. Laurie Marker, we will search for cheetahs live across Africa and share some of our best cheetah sightings from over the years. Join us for our cheetah chase. WildEarth, keeping up with the fastest land mammal on Earth.
You can see that the bull's kind of heading towards the cow with a little calf, and if you watch her, she's not impressed by him at the moment. She's just trying to avoid confrontation. But if he continues to go around there, and especially if they're cramped and standing on top of one another, her reaction is not going to be of the friendly kind. With such a young calf around, she's going to be even more protective and less tolerant of big boisterous bulls. So that was a big trumpet. So Starbuck, I had a quick look around on the interweb, specifically for an article that talks about why members of the Equidae family all produce different vocalizations, but I can't find one. They will just obviously talk about communication and why it's important and the different types of vocalizations that members of the Equidae family make, but nothing that, I probably need to do a little bit more digging and to find out if zebras have a special adaptation to produce that, however you describe the call of a zebra. How do you even do that? How do you even say, what sound does a zebra make? Whoop, 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 whoop. But how do you put that into words? Because a donkey brays and a horse neighs. But what does a zebra do? Does it bleat? That's not quite bleating. Come on, help me. If you've got any suggestions of what we can call the vocalizations of zebra that best describes them, let me know. Comment and send it through. Oh, we've even got earland. I haven't even had earland come down to drink at this waterhole before. This is wonderful. Adding a new species to the list, well, at least my species list for Jamala. But we are going to be having a couple more cameras join us in just a little bit. We'll be welcoming the AfriCam cameras. I'm not actually sure which ones will be available today, but I'm sure Oldonyo will be there, maybe Tembo Plains, which is in Zimbabwe. That'll be great to have a look and check what's happening on the Zambezi River. Maybe even Tembi, who knows, some of the cameras in Olifants West.